Okay, good afternoon everybody. Joanne from the School of Computing, as Lene said. Today I'm going to be talking to you about our use of, that's very loud, the access grid in building EB at Parramatta. What we had with one of our units was we had a new major that had been introduced, and it was a little bit slow getting off the ground. So what we wanted to do was to boost the numbers in that major. But we had the conundrum of not being able to have many health informatics staff, which is the discipline that I'm in, and of course restricted budget. So we wanted to offer the unit over 3 campuses, but we didn't think we could actually stretch that far budget-wise or resource-wise. So what we wanted to do was fix all of those things. We wanted to make the unit look leading edge. So the idea here is, of course, that if you introduce a new unit, students' expectations is that it will be different, sexier, it'll start to use some blended learning. They've got these new iPads, how do I use that? Now we're lucky enough in the School of Computing to have an access grid, which is basically teleconferencing on steroids. And that also has some smart boards in it so we could get students to collaborate. But what it meant was that we could have one lecturer teaching 3 campuses, Penrith, Campbelltown and Parramatta, and running the interactive sessions all in one go. Now, in 3 years, we've gone from 0 to 80 enrolments, including the ability to have external students now on offer. And we've actually got a number of students from the School of Health Science enrolling in the unit, probably about 35 this last semester just gone, because we've been able to record not only audio but video of those sessions. So external wasn't even thought about 3 years ago, but now with the access grid facility, we've been able to do that. So I just wanted to show you the general setup. This is at Campbelltown in the left here is where the lecturer stands and where they can project their own notes. And then here, as the item suggests, this is the smart board. So all 3 campuses can actually see the smart board, and we can set up different folders that allow each campus to be able to write their own material and then share it with the other campuses. We then have the lecture slides being presented on one of the boards, and then we are able to project images of the videos of the other campuses, so the students sort of get to see each other at the other campuses as well, and that all works quite well. Okay, this is Parramatta, and it's a slightly different setup that you can see. Over in this corner, we've got where the presenter stands, then we've got the smart board, which can be projected onto the screen. There's the lecture notes, and there you can see the actual other campuses being displayed. So all the campuses can see each other and hear each other, which is very interesting sometimes. It's an open mic system, which can be a little bit interesting, but we can share the whiteboards and all that sort of thing. So there's a couple of restrictions that we are already aware about as far as design goes when you're looking at this sort of stuff. A couple of those things is that there's no inbuilt recording of audio and video. We've got to have these sorts of things hooked up to us, or we've got to actually have a video camera running on us. We don't have Lectopia in this room, which could be a better system, but it also has limitations as far as interactivity, because you can't see your lecturer, of course. And we found that being able to see the lecturer as well as hear them is a really good engagement tool. So you win on some and you lose on others. There can be some very large file sizes to upload if we do video record, and we've actually found that Views has a restriction on that. If you keep lots of multimedia, you'll find that your allocated limit, storage limit, could get blown. But, and I think I spoke to you, Tom, about that. Yeah. So we can request to get that increased, but it's just when it happened, there was no meaningful error message. So it took us actually a week to work out that we weren't actually doing something wrong. And there was nobody who was doing anything wrong. It was just that we'd blown the storage limit for a given unit. But it's good to know. This is a view of the Penrith site. Again, you can see they're slightly differently set up, and we now know from our experience what's a good setup and what's a not so good setup. So here's the PowerPoint, that's the lecture. We've got Parramatta, the students being viewed, and then here we've also got the different campuses, and we can display what the students are actually demonstrating their work on. So that's a mobile app that they've displayed as part of an end-of-year project. So we can display any sort of media, and the different campuses can see it and, as I said, interact with it. And there's the smart board. This is actually Campbelltown again, but with all of the boards now active, you might say. Whoever took this, I think, had Vaseline on their phone, though, because it's sort of that Marilyn Monroe sort of thing. Now, the other thing you might notice is that I'm actually using my mobile phone to run all of this as a pointer. Okay, I've actually downloaded an app onto the iPhone and the iPad called Slide Shark, and this lets you run your PowerPoints through basically your iPhone as the pointer. And I can change the slides. You can see that I'm pointing to the slides. So I can be anywhere, and it's just with normal facilities that you have. So I had bought a pointer for myself. It was $80 from JB Hi-Fi. Phone I carry all the time. I can now use this. So I can chat to you about this if you're interested. Okay. So one of the things that we have done recently is we've actually introduced an interactive task. So each campus was to review a specific quality improvement technique. This was the activity. During the lecture, we had explained to them that there were different quality improvement techniques for healthcare, and they were to review each of them and to actually make a recommendation to their manager about which one they should use. So what we gave each campus was a smart board. And they each had their own session of the smart board where they wrote their responses. And then what we did was we actually shared those responses back to the other campuses. And each board, of course, had to be visible. This allowed real-time interaction, which the students just loved. Because sometimes when if you are using an access grid facility, of course, if you're not present in their room, they're just sort of sitting there watching a video head sort of thing. And you've got to be very, very careful of your engagement in that aspect. Teaching in an access grid facility is not for everybody, and if you're a DAP or a a supervisor who's allocating staff, you need to actually really think about the staff that you put into an access grid facility. Because if you have somebody who just stands and speaks as part of their normal modus operandi, it's not going to work. You're going to lose the students at the other end. You've actually got to have somebody in there who's prepared to do an act, you might say. You have to project your voice. You have to generate questions to the other campuses. You've really got to work all the time to keep them engaged and to pull them in. And you can notice if they don't pull in because they start to scratch, and because you've got the open mic system, you can hear them scratching, you can hear them chatting, and you can just see their body language. All right, so then you've got to up yourself, and you've got to go, Penrith, what's going on? I've got a question for you. You know, and then you do silly things like you throw them a minty or something, you know, that you would do in a normal class, but of course you can't do. But, you know, you've actually got to put on a performance. So be very careful when you're using some of these technologies that, you know, it's particularly access grid, it's not just stand and speak, or otherwise you'll find your SFUs and your SFTs will be pretty poor. We actually have been invited to work on a project with Macquarie University about blended learning, and they've come in and they've actually video recorded one of the sessions and the student interaction, and they say that this sort of the way we run this is not done anywhere else that they've been. So they're using us as a case study in their blended learning project, so we'll get written up soon. And we've come up with some new ideas about the different dimensions that are required to design a blended learning environment via an access grid. And that's something that's not been done before that we can find in the literature. We're also, as I said, Parramatta is the biggest campus and it's actually the poorest setup. Because when I'm lecturing, okay, so you saw that I was over here, the students are sitting there, the boards where that's been projected is here, and the smart board is here, okay? Now, if I face the students who are physically present, The video camera that Campbelltown and Penrith sees is over there. They get my ear. If I face them, Parramatta gets my ear. Not when you haven't done this before, you don't think it's a problem. But it is, because I'm trying to do this all the time. So I look one of those clowns at the fair, like, you know. So I'm saying to the guys, look, what I really want is I don't want the screens here. I want to see them there, so I can face my students who are present in the room there, okay? But this is thousands of dollars equipment that's sitting behind me. So it's not just a case of, yeah, pick it up, pack it up and put it over there. That was one option, of course. We moved the thousands of dollars of equipment. But I've got desks sitting here. So one of the staff said, let's just change the desks around. Oh, there you go. So we're looking at doing that in the interim. And that could work. There are a couple of other things that are going on. What I do also want to do is I want to introduce some real-time video and audio capture so that I've got a much higher quality of multimedia that I can put up on the web. At the moment it's just a video. As I said, it's very large files. If it's just audio, it's not as engaging. Mind you, it hasn't made them look at the material anymore. My view stats are still pretty rubbish. And what I would really love for my externals is for them to be able to sit in their bedroom in their pyjamas and their Ugg boots and do real-time streaming. Okay? This is expensive. And although there is blended learning money, I don't know if it goes to that, but I'd really be interested in being a guinea pig, potentially, for looking at real-time video streaming for our externals. All right, so what would I suggest? If you're interested in this, it is a bit different. You can tell that I'm a bit, what do you call it, OCDC, or whatever. So that's maybe why I do okay in that environment, but it is, when I leave, I'm exhausted. I really feel like that I've been doing something other than just standing there and yapping on. I'm very, very happy for you to contact me and go on a tour. And by all means, chat to me about if you're thinking of using blended learning via Access Grid for your teaching activities. Come and talk to me because I can leapfrog you well ahead of all of those errors that we've already made. Because we've been doing it for a while. My colleague here, Heidi Berry, has also been using it. And yeah, we can give you some tips and techniques about what not to do so that you don't go through some of the pain that we've had. By all means, contact me on that email. As a couple of you know, I am heading off for Europe soon. So if I don't email you back straight away, please forgive me, but I will. I might include a little picture of where I've been, supping my latest ale, but that's all right. So this is Slide Shark. As I said, I can use it as a pointer. It comes up, and I just slide my finger across and it moves. I can also, on the iPad here, annotate with my finger, okay, draw things so I can point to items of interest. But yeah, so a little bit of iPhone, iPad technology and a little bit of Access Grid today. No. To buy a pointer from JB Hi-Fi is $80. This is free. Slide Shark. It's an app on iPhone. Slide Shark. What you do is you download the app, and then you have to download from, say, Dropbox. I use Dropbox a lot. I do all my storage in the cloud. I download from Dropbox, and you have to actually download it into the Slide Shark app. And then what I do is I Bluetooth my iPhone to my iPad, and then I'm connected. Not a bad little tool. Thank you.